Okay, so section 10. Someone asked this question, what did the United States see itself as fighting for during World War II? Think cartoon ducks, what problems did the United States have during this time period? Right, so remember, this is the cartoon we watched about Donald Duck. And remember, what we were basically fighting for was economic freedom, the ability to work and keep the profits for ourselves, and to be left alone, right? To not always have the government telling us what to do. Remember in the Donald Duck cartoon, Donald Duck was like working all the time and being forced to do, remember it was like 48 hours a day, and he had terrible living conditions. He was forced to eat bread made out of wood, right? And they were forcing him to read Mein Kampf and everything. Remember, do your exercise to get red so you can keep your body strong so you can serve the Fuhrer. So Americans understood themselves as fighting against that system for freedom, both economic and political. However, right, Americans often, when we look back at this war, we say, oh, Hitler was a racist, and so we fought this war against racism. And you didn't really see that in the cartoon, right? The cartoon itself was racist, right? Remember, against Japanese people. And I want to emphasize, remember, World War II, we had a segregated military, right? So we can't say this war was being fought against racism, right? Americans were pretty racist. And of course, I also gave the example where we interned Japanese Americans, including citizens, without any kind of trial or anything like that, right? It was just only because of their race did their rights were stripped from them. So I want us to kind of understand that, because I think that's a misunderstanding. Okay, so question 25 was, what was the significance of the battles of Guadalcanal? And I want to connect it to 28. What was the significance of the battles of Iwo Jima and Okinawa? So one thing, historians, we're interested in change over time and what causes those changes, right? If someone asks you, what is history? That's a very simple definition. Change over time, what causes those changes, and also why are they important? So I'm comparing these battles. They're different. The Battle of Guadalcanal, which was fought early in the war, even though it was not an easy battle, please note that one American was able to kill 22 Japanese, right? So for every one American that died in this war, 22 people, or in this battle, 22 Japanese people died. And whereas the US can replace those losses, it's much harder for the Japanese to do because they're tied down in China. So keep that in mind. Guadalcanal, the major thing I want you to understand there, Americans, not many are dying, doesn't take a whole bunch of us to kill Japanese people, right? We're able to kill 22 Japanese for every one American or other allied troop who loses a life. But Iwo Jima and Okinawa, and note these are later in the war. Notice in Iwo Jima, we have 26,000 American casualties, right, versus 20,000 Japanese dead. That's because basically all the Japanese except for 1,000 will fight to the death. That's why I don't give a wounded number, because they're folded into those other two numbers. But notice, that's certainly not 1 to 22. Now it's taken about one American to kill 2 Japanese. Right? In the past, it took 22 Japanese to kill 1 American. Now it only takes 2 Japanese to kill 1 American. The same thing is repeated in Okinawa. Right? Again, we see huge American casualties. So first of all, the difference in these battles, it shows us how the Japanese are learning. They're learning to counter American technological advantages. They're learning how to be better at killing Americans. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that this is key to understand why we dropped the atomic bomb. Right? The Japanese are becoming so effective at killing Americans that we're afraid that if we actually try to invade the home islands, a huge amount of Americans are going to die. So that's why it makes sense from the point of view of Harry Truman to drop the bomb. No one asked any questions there. So that brings us